The Johnson family had been struggling in the city. Rent was too high, and their old apartment was falling apart. When Mr. Johnson saw an ad in the newspaper about a spacious 3-bedroom apartment, low rent, it felt like a blessing. When they first arrived, the building looked old but strong: red bricks, tall windows, a creaky iron gate at the front. Behind it, however, stood a graveyard. The gravestones were crooked, names worn away by rain, and wild grass grew over most of the area. The landlord, a thin old man with cloudy eyes, gave them the keys. Before leaving, he only said one thing: "Don't let the children near the graveyard after dark." The Johnsons laughed nervously. It sounded more like superstition than a warning. For the first week, everything was fine. Sarah, the eldest daughter, decorated her room with posters. Michael, her younger brother, played with his toy cars in the living room. Mrs. Johnson cooked happily, finally relieved to have a bigger kitchen. But soon, Sarah started complaining about whispers at night. "They're calling my name," she told her mother. Mrs. Johnson brushed it off as imagination. Michael said he saw a man standing between the gravestones every night. "He doesn't move," the boy whispered. "He just stares at my window." One stormy night, when thunder shook the windows, Sarah screamed. Her parents rushed into her room. She pointed at the corner. There was a woman standing there. She was crying. Her face was all broken, but the room was empty. Mr. Johnson tried to calm the family, but he too started hearing things. When he went down to the basement for storage, he found scratches on the concrete wall, hundreds of names carved into it. He brushed the dust off and froze. The names were the same as the gravestones outside. That night, while lying in bed, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson heard the sound of children's laughter echoing through the hallway, but both their kids were asleep. When Mrs. Johnson checked, she saw muddy footprints leading from the apartment door, footprints too small to be her husband's. They led toward the graveyard. One evening, Michael disappeared. The family searched the apartment, shouting his name. Then Sarah screamed from the window. He was in the graveyard, standing among the tombstones, holding the hand of a tall, shadowy figure. When Mr. Johnson ran outside, Michael was gone. The graveyard was empty. They called the police. Officers searched the area but found nothing. Just old, collapsed graves. One officer muttered, "People say this place is cursed. Whole families used to vanish here." Days later, Sarah woke her parents in the middle of the night. "Michael is back," she whispered. Her voice was flat, emotionless. She led them to the basement door. It was wide open. Candlelight flickered below. In the basement, Michael stood facing the wall. His skin was pale, his eyes almost gray. Around him, shadows moved as if dozens of people were standing there. Mrs. Johnson cried, "Michael, come here." But the boy turned slowly and whispered in a voice that wasn't his own, "This is not your home. This is our graveyard." The walls groaned. The carved names began to glow faintly. One by one, shadowy figures stepped out from the stone, their hollow eyes fixed on the Johnsons. The family tried to escape. They ran upstairs, but every door slammed shut on its own. The windows wouldn't open. Sarah clutched her mother, sobbing, as footsteps circled the apartment. Mr. Johnson grabbed a chair to smash the window, but instead of glass, he saw soil and roots behind it, as if the building itself was buried underground. The whispering grew louder. "You moved into our graveyard. Now you belong to us." The lights went out. The screaming stopped. When neighbors complained the next morning about silence in apartment 7, the landlord just smiled. He had seen it before. Families came and families vanished. The building always wanted more.